Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your boy Curtis, NYSTV.
Drugs, always into drugs.
The Lord began to speak to me about preaching.
Lying constantly to people about different things.
I wanted to get revenge on that night that I put him out.
Used to do, quite a bit of criminal activity, breaking houses, steal.
And he took his gun out and shot the guy.
The answer right here, Christ died for us.
What's up, y'all? This is your boy Curtis again, here with NLyTeTV with another episode of our show, Revelation 12:11 style. I'm here with my boy Isaac. How you doing, man?
All right.
We're looking forward to hearing about what the Lord's brought you from and how He's helped you progress in your life. Why don't you take it away and let them tell us.
About 6 years ago, I was drinking with my friends, man, and we were getting drunk, and they went to the back to smoke some pot, so I just stayed up front, in front of the house. Alcohol was my biggest enemy, and I just freaked out, dude, and I emptied out my duffel bag and put food and stuff in my duffel bag, and I just left the apartment completely. I got scared, man, because I thought the cops were after me because I was drunk, and I kicked out a window in the basement of this church, and I went into the church, and I remember being in the basement of this church, and I was praying to Satan. I was saying, "Where are you, Satan? I know you're here." And I was cutting myself and bleeding on pentagrams and praying to Satan that he'd do this and do that. I blacked out, totally blacked out, and next thing I know, I'm kicking down the door of my friend's house, and I get in there and I get a bunch of prescription medicines and all that stuff. Some beer, I get some beer, and I get some knives and all this stuff. And I take these knives and I leave, and I set the house on fire, man. And her dog was in the house, and I shut the door on the dog, and the house was on fire, and I didn't really understand this was going on, so I totally left, and I ended up trying to rob some people, and I ran from them, and ended up in the front seat of this Lincoln Town car, and the first thing I remember, I'm getting pistol whipped by this big dude, and the cops arrest me and get me. I ended up in jail, and they had me in the suicide room, or whatever they call it, for people that are suicidal, because I was kind of crazy up here. And I ended up in prison. I went through Satanism. I studied Satanism, the Satanic Bible, all that stuff, Anton LaVey. Got into Satanism really heavy. I started hating God. And I cursed him, I said mean things. I blasphemed him. I got into Wicca, and I was cutting myself, bleeding on pentagrams, and doing all this crazy stuff. And I ended up dropping that, and I picked up Odinism, which is a Nordic religion, and I stuck with that for a while. Kind of got into Wicca with that a little, kind of mixed it all up, got my own religions, kind of threw God out the window for a while. And about a month before I got released, I remember praying to God, man. I was crying, dude, because I knew He was going to save me from all this, and I was going to be all right. I had my friend Andre Coker. I was like, dude, why is all this happening to me? I was having mental problems. I was breaking down. I was going crazy. And I was like, why is all this happening to me? He's like, God's got a plan for you. Don't worry. You're going to be all right. I was like, yeah, that's right. I've been struggling so long, man. I just kind of lost sight. He prayed over me, anointed me with oil, washed my feet, dude, and totally helped me out. And got me back on the right path again. I got out, and I'm doing all right. I'm still struggling with mental stuff and all that. I know that God's going to keep me and keep me safe. And every time I have a problem, I repeat, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. because that verse just got me through everything, dude. And I know it's true, and every time I say that, I feel this power coming over me and this spirit coming over me, and I feel that the Lord just filling me with his presence, and I'm all right. And I'm like, all right, I can make this, I can do this, even if it's hard at times, because I have really hard times. But I make it, and I'm all right. You know, God's given me the gift of playing guitar and writing lyrics and all this stuff, and I write about life and the streets and all this stuff I've been through, and it really helps me out through my hard times, and I'm just really thankful to God that he gave me this gift of music.
Why don't you go ahead and tell the people that are watching this episode and watching your video that if they're touched by your story, just give them a little bit of advice of how they can come through it and how they can get to the knowledge of the Lord too.
Well, my advice, oh man, is to be careful about the people you hang out with and the friends you make and the way you live your life. You know, Christ is the only way to go, because every other road leads to trouble, leads to destruction, leads to prison. You know, the drinking, the partying, you think it's fun, and it is fun. But there's going to be a day you get behind the wheel, you're drunk, you get behind the wheel, you kill somebody, or you have sex with somebody that's got HIV. My advice is to just make Christ the focal point of your life. You got to suffer sometimes. You got to put yourself out of the circle sometimes. You got to make enemies sometimes. Always keep Christ first, and don't fall for the lies of this world. But you got to pick yourself up and always remember, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. And that's all I got.